So we're going to talk about changing the case of student names, and that is converting text to either uppercase, sentence case, lower, or proper case. And proper case being that each letter of the first of the word is put into uppercase. So there's a bit of variety of how we do this. It has some drawbacks, which Kane has raised actually, which I want to talk about as well. But sometimes having to go in there and modify the case of students' names to ensure that what appears on the certificates is correct is a real pain. It takes a lot of effort to get that done. And so the idea of this is it's meant to take away that if you're currently going through fixing case of your of the students' names because they're too lazy or whatever to do it right when they first enter it in, or they don't manage to work out how to get an uppercase letter, or they make a mistake or whatever, this is meant to make your life easy. But you've got some sort of drawbacks as Kane and I were mentioning earlier, which we'll raise as well. So for some people, it's going to be like, why change the case of text? That's crazy. Why bother doing that? So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to show you some examples of what you might want to do. I'm going to talk about what skills are required to set up CourseSales to be able to do this. And we're also going to talk about what does it mean? What's the impact of changing the case of the fields that come through? And then finally, like I say, how to set up the case change step by step. And then I've got a few questions. I've got a quiz, Joe. You'll be pleased to know. Joe's a bit of an expert in doing our quizzes. So
I don't know about that.
you guys are going to have to compete against her. Oh, got someone else. Oh, Barmax is attending again.
Just me. Challenge accepted.
Cool. Sounds good.
You got me in it there quick.
Okie dokie. So why change the case of text? Okay, so data may have case inconsistency. So I'm sure we've come across situations where case within the names or other areas too, any text fields basically this applies to, not just the names of students. Reissuing of certificates with case changes, if they're commonly requested, if your students are the sort of students who just quickly enter their details, or maybe even they pre-filled in because they did it on your form some time ago, or that's just the way it fills in. It could be a variety of reasons. And sometimes it's just more attractive to have the same case being applied. Sometimes it might even be to do with the width that's available. Obviously, uppercase tends to use a lot more width than lowercase. So maybe it's about trying to keep that consistent as well. So lots of reasons to change the case of text. Have you guys got any other reasons? Is there any other
Thank you, Scott.
reasons you find that you want to change the case of text?
Fine.
One of the reasons that I want to is I know that because we have multiple bookings, we have students book in, and then the contact doesn't get changed. So then you got to fix the first document, second document, then I've got to go and fix the contact to make sure that looks okay as well.
Right. Okay.
And that's challenging because the staff will only do one of the documents and not the other one, or not the contact. So
I see. So for you, effectively, the problem of changing the case is not just a one-off issue. It's an issue that might, because you're taking multiple bookings, it might be something that happens like 3 or 4 times. You have to go to each of the documents and to the contact and make sure they're all updated to ensure you've got consistency.
And because it annoys me as well that they're all lowercase, it just bugs me. But also the address as well, because they'll type in their address because they just use a Google form.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. That it automatically fills their data in. Right. Okay. Yeah. That must be frustrating, particularly because you're so finicky with your preference of looks and appearances when it comes to names. And we've got someone else joining us. Hello. Just this admin. Who's that? No, maybe they don't have sound working. That's all right. Anyway, good to see. Okay, so here's an example for using uppercase. So when entering the form Mary Jones, so someone enters Mary Jones, that'll be changed automatically if you use this concept of changing case. It'll be changed to Mary Jones with uppercase. That's pretty clear, I guess. But you might want to emphasize a particular text field if you're going to include that in an email. Just like I said, it doesn't just have to be their first name or their surname. It can be any text that you have within the system. And so it can apply to PDFs, invoice, or offer letter. For example, if you want to raise attention to someone stating a purchase order number, for example, on an invoice, you could force the case to be uppercase there and just make it sure that everyone sees what that is. Or if you've got an agree, let's say, for example, instead of having a checkbox to get someone to agree, you want them to write the words agree. And the idea of having the words agree come up in bold on an invoice or on a booking form or whatever it happens to be, a PDF that you create, that's really advantageous because it really raises the alert. So lowercase, what's going to happen if someone enters Mary Jones like that, then it's going to be changed to Mary Jones. Okay, so they're all lowercase. Again, lowercase uses up less space, so that might make things like trying to get those certificates right with names that are quite long. Forcing them into maybe either all lowercase or at least sentence case might be a better option, because uppercase will make it quite wide and maybe even wrap the names over, and then you've got the whole height thing going on that causes problems. And it's like, oh no, why can't everybody just have a short name? Honestly, fingers crossed. We've got someone else, admin. Who are you who's just joined us?
Sorry, Pamela Curry.
Hey, Pamela. How you going there?
Good. Sorry I was late.
No worries at all. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay, so when entering on the form Mary Jones, again, this is going to be changed automatically to Mary Jones when you use capitalize. Okay, so this is going to be able to capitalize the data, which is pretty helpful. And again, if people are entering uppercase and or lowercase, then you can standardize it to Mary Jones. And there are some issues around this, and we're going to raise them shortly. When people, for example, have a double-barreled name, like McCarthy, for example. Is McCarthy an example? I don't know if it is, but there are some instances where there needs to be an uppercase in more than one spot within one surname in particular. So that can be a bit annoying. This is probably going to be the one that most people use, is the idea of capitalizing at the beginning of each word. So sentence case is where you want to convert just the first word to an uppercase and the rest is lowercase. And again, this might just be normalizing it. It might be normalizing it not even necessarily for names, but also sentences that people write. So it would just make it easier. Sometimes when people write comments, it's a bit like rough on the eye to see it all written in uppercase, which I don't know. For some people do. They just press caps lock on and everything's in uppercase. It's like, don't they realize that's shouting? And it's quite a lot of, difficult to read, I guess. So being able to force that into a more of an easy to read format might be useful. So what skills are required to make this work? Fortunately, not too many, actually. It's pretty straightforward. You just have to be able to edit fields and edit forms. So if you've got permission to be able to do those, all licenses should be able to do that, so you shouldn't have a problem. And I'm going to go through and show you what to do. So what does it mean? So here we go. We've got the idea of working with text. It only works on text fields, okay? You can't do this for something like checkboxes or radio fields or anything like that. It's only going to work for text fields. It's a validator, okay? So when you edit a field, you'll see there's a spot there for a validator, and then you get to choose one of these. You can convert to lowercase, convert to proper case, which is where you've got the capitals at the beginning of each word, convert to sentence case, where the capital is at the beginning of just the first word, and then convert to uppercase. So those are your options. Now be aware that the text changes after submitting the form. So someone enters it in lowercase and they'll submit it in lowercase. They'll see it as lowercase. It doesn't get changed until it's been saved. And so from the admin perspective, you're going to see it after it's been changed. So how do you set it up? First of all, go onto your form and then click on the little pencil icon beside the field that you want to edit. So your forms are found under Forms and then Forms, and then edit the form that you want to change, and then you want to go down to the field, like I say here, click on the little pencil there, and then select your validator when it comes up, okay? So you see a little box pop up, and then scroll down to where it's got validator, and then you can choose your validator, click on save, and then make sure that when you make a modification to the field, you save and preview and then publish the form. It's very important to publish the form, because if you save and preview and don't publish, then the changes aren't going to be there. The validator's not going to be working. How does that sound so far to everybody? All right?
Ask you one thing, Scott.
Yes, sure.
Just when you're just saying when it is submitted, and just to confirm that if an email was going out, the email would go out with the change, the updated. Let's say you put capitals, they submit in lowercase. The email that goes out will actually be all in uppercase.
That's correct. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Yep. So the changes. So the moment the information comes to the document and is saved, that's the information that's used to send out on the email. So yeah, well. So this is just reminding you to save and preview and then publish the form, which is easy to forget. Okay, so before I go to the quiz, in fact, I was surprised. I usually have another field there for quiz, another header for quiz. But before I go into that, I just wanted to point out something that Kane's raised earlier, and that is that if you do apply this validator to the fields, it applies to everybody. It applies not just to the public who are going to be submitting the form, but it also applies to the admins. So if you make the change to, say, make everything uppercase, and then you get contacted by a customer and they say, oh, I really just want my to be uppercase in my the first letter and then the third letter of my name, not all the letters. It's sort of, you can't cater for that. We can't cater for situations where you might want to have it mixed and might want to have it uppercase. So this is applied to everybody. So it is a bit of a... the idea is it's meant to make it easy and meant to make it so you don't have to worry about updating those things. I think Kane's come across that as being a bit of a challenge.
I think element 2 has about 16 questions in.
Scotty, can you mute David?
Yeah, I have muted David. There we go. Okay, so let's do the quiz. So let's do the quiz. Who wants to try this out? Which of the following case changes are possible? Which ones do you think are possible?
A, B, C.
And D.
Yes. A, B, C, and D. E, can we do E?
No.
We cannot do E, much to the disappointment of Martin. We're not going to be able to have cater for his capital D and capital L. So yeah, you've got to sort of choose what we want to do about that. It all depends, I guess, on how much effort it is. How much effort it is to deal with these things. If you've got lots of bookings coming through, I can completely understand how you just want to standardize it and say, no, we're just going to make it all uppercase. Uppercase seems like the best one, right? In
I
some
like
cases,
proper case.
I know it looks better. Definitely proper case looks better, but I just wonder if having to avoid dealing with Martins of the world, maybe making it uppercase might be the easy way. But it does then occupy lots of space on the certificate. So,
yeah, that's the conversation I got to have regarding whether we go proper case or uppercase or.
I guess you could even give it a go. Keep track, and if only a small number of students get annoyed, then maybe it's okay. So if you convert the to proper case, what will be the name Patty McDonald? What's going to be changed to using proper case?
B.
B.
Yep, sounds good.
No.
So this
C
is
looks
just
better, but yeah.
Yeah, this is just to labour the point, so you realise what the impact might be. Okay, so where is the convert to case feature located?
Validator. Field state validator.
She's good, isn't she? Kane left in the dust.
You just
Kane's
did
left in the
it,
dust.
yeah.
Now you can actually do some clever things with HTML classes by being able to make the students see it in a particular way as well. So if you're but it can get frustrating if you're a student and you're typing your name in and it keeps going to uppercase and you keep trying to type it in lowercase. I can imagine you might get complaints there. The first iteration of this actually did do that. It had we had a change on the field so that when the student typed it in, it would convert it to a particular case. But we had a bit of pushback from students out there in student land, and they were getting a bit frustrated with it. Better to do it behind the scenes so they doesn't stop them filling in their booking forms. Okay, so fields are used on many forms, so you should remember to edit the field and just leave it at that.
Publish the form.
Publish a form you just edited. Edit the field, then publish each of the form that uses the field. Or update the validator on all checkbox field.
C and D.
So I think well, D's, do you see we can't do the validator on checkbox fields. You can only do this on text fields. Yeah. It's a trick question, that one.
-1 for Joe. I'm hoping
Okay, so important to publish all the forms. Okay, so here's an activity for you guys to do. Create a public invisible field for each to convert to validator on an existing form and see what happens. Okay, so you can create fields to put on your forms if you want to test this out, and just make them invisible or make them not seen on the public side, so you don't get students wondering what the heck's going on, and then you can see them, and you can then save different types of text if you want to experiment with how it's going to look, or go straight to the name field and make some adjustments, and then see how it goes. See if you get a reduction in complaints about certificates having to republish because the student put the wrong name capitalization in. And yeah, I mean, I guess with regards to the advanced activity there, we've talked about some of the downfalls and the risks, but I do believe that if you're processing a lot of bookings, I can completely imagine how this would make your life easier. Or even if you're not processing lots of bookings, but you're busy as a bee, it will still be pretty useful. Who thinks they're going to use this feature? Anyone think?
I would like to. I just like still going to have that conversation about how we want certificates and are we happy with all capitals, because when I tried it before, I had that problem with if I could go back and edit the name, that would be good. But at the moment, that's not possible. So I don't know, but it could be even a case where we might, let's say those who've got the name want it fixed up. Maybe I have to, when they come in, resend their statement of attainment with it corrected. I don't know. So
yeah, okay. Do a bit of a measurement to see what you reckon.
Yeah, because the other problem we have is we take the data from here across to another system, which is the government licensing system, and that goes into their license for their RSA course. So I could see that sometimes that lowercase, people might not be happy, especially if we forget to change it. So yeah.
It's almost like which is the worst scenario. Yeah. Is it more of a pain having to deal with people who want to change it from being uppercase or sentence case or proper case, or is it, anyway. Okay, cool. And I'll when I publish this information on SlideShare, I also include these links, and if you're interested, this tells you why some names have 2 uppercase letters, which is kind of cool. There's actually a definition for it. Thank you, Google, for that. How about you, Joe? You think you might use this? Uppercase, lowercase?
Yeah, to be honest, I do my certificates myself, so I don't use the system.
Oh,
I don't use CourseSales for it, and I don't do that many, so it's actually quite fun, sort of creating certificates and
quite fun. Did you say?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Well, I've got all my masters all set up, so it's just a matter of just changing names and
Right. Okay. Oh, cool.
yeah.
How about you, Pam? Do you think you'd use the changing case arrangement?
No, maybe not, but I'll have a look at it.
Yeah. Okay. No worries at all.